Malik Adewale wasn't the kind of man who believed in fate. He believed in plans, structure, routine. At 34, he had his life exactly where he wanted it. Steady job as a systems analyst, modest but modern apartment in Abuja, a fiancée who adored him, and a reputation for being dependable. Until she walked into his life. He met her on a humid Thursday evening at a fuel station. She was arguing with the attendant, flustered, barefoot, wearing a long navy dress that clung to her like it belonged to another time. Her accent wasn't local, and her eyes. Cold. Distant. Beautiful. When Malik stepped in to diffuse the situation, she barely looked at him. "I don't need your help," she muttered. But something in him, something primal, stirred. Later that night, he saw her again. She was standing in the rain just outside his compound gate. No umbrella, no coat, just that same haunting stare. "What are you doing here?" he asked, heart pounding. "I lost my way," she said softly. "You're the only face I remember." He should have walked away. He didn't. He let her in, offered her tea, asked her name. She hesitated, then whispered, "Nia." From that moment, things began to unravel. Slowly at first, like a thread being pulled from the edge of a sweater. Small things. His phone would die faster than normal. He'd wake up in the night feeling watched. One morning, his fiancée, Halima, found one of Nia's earrings under their couch. "But you said she left that night," Halima said. "Didn't you say she was just lost?" Malik had no explanation. And worse, he wasn't sure he believed it anymore himself. Because Nia kept showing up, on his street, in the store, in his dreams. And every time she smiled, something inside him crumbled a little more. 3 weeks after Nia appeared, Malik's life began to fracture. He didn't notice it at first, just tiny shifts. He was showing up late to work, missing deadlines, losing sleep. His boss, Mr. Akande, called him in. "You're one of my sharpest minds, Malik. What's going on with you?" Malik had no answer. How could he explain that a woman he barely knew was haunting every second of his day? He hadn't seen Nia in person again since that rainy night. But she was everywhere. Sometimes he'd walk into his apartment and smell her perfume. Once, he found a strand of her hair on his bedsheet. Another night, the lights flickered the moment he whispered her name out loud. He asked the security guard at the gate, "The woman who came that night, did she come back?" The guard looked confused. "What woman?" That's when Malik checked the security footage. Nothing. There was no record of Nia entering or leaving the compound. No trace, no proof, just memory. Halima was growing suspicious, distant. One night, she confronted him. "Are you hiding something from me?" "No," Malik said. "I swear there's nothing." "Then who is Nia?" He froze. Halima held up his journal. "You wrote about her. Pages of it. Dreams, feelings, obsession." "Halima, I can explain." "Number, you can't," she said, stepping back, "because I think she's in your head, and she's winning." That night, Halima left, packed a bag and walked out. Malik sat alone in the dim light of his bedroom, staring at the blank wall. He didn't cry. He didn't chase her. Instead, he whispered to the darkness, "What do you want from me, Nia?" And the lights in the room flickered, just once. Malik didn't leave the apartment for 3 days. He barely ate, barely moved. He just sat there, haunted by a name, a face, a presence he couldn't explain. Nia. He scrolled endlessly through old text messages, social media profiles, trying to trace her. No last name, no background, no digital footprint. It was like she appeared just for him, and him alone. Then at 2:47 a.m., his doorbell rang. He froze. The hallway was dark. The motion light flickered. When he opened the door, no one was there. Just a single envelope on the floor. He picked it up with shaking hands. Inside, a photo. Him and Halima, sitting on their couch. smiling, candidate. He stared in horror. He didn't remember taking this. He didn't remember this moment at all. But someone had been there, watching them, close enough to capture that photo. On the back, a single word in cursive, mine. That was the moment Malik broke. He grabbed his coat and left the apartment, walking blindly through the empty streets of Abuja. The city was quiet, asleep, but his mind was racing. He went to the only place that made sense, the mosque. He sat on the steps, not speaking, just breathing, just trying to hold on to something real. The next day, his podcast subscriptions popped a new episode, Modern Myths, The Woman Who Follows. It sounded ridiculous, but something drew him in. The host described an urban legend, a woman who appears when men are vulnerable, beautiful, cold, familiar. She enters their lives and slowly destroys everything, and she always introduces herself the same way. My name is Nia. Malik's blood ran cold. If you've ever met someone who seemed too perfect, too mysterious, too dangerous, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because Malik's story is about to go deeper than he ever imagined. Malik couldn't sleep after that podcast episode. He listened to it 3 times, each time catching new details that mirrored his life too perfectly to be coincidence. The host mentioned cities, victims, patterns, Lagos. One man vanished, Port Harcourt. Another ended up in a psychiatric ward. All of them had one thing in common. They met a woman named Nia. He dug deeper. Forum posts, Reddit threads, anonymous blogs. Each story was slightly different, but one element always remained. She showed up, seduced, vanished, and left their lives in ruins. One post chilled him to his core. She doesn't age. Same face, same dress. She walks barefoot, even in the rain. When you see her, she feels familiar, like you've dreamed of her before. Malik's heart pounded. The navy dress, the rain, that eerie sense that she knew him before he even spoke. But why him? What had he done to be chosen? The next morning, he visited a retired professor of folklore and metaphysics, Dr. Oji, a friend of his late father. Malik showed him the photo, the envelope, the podcast. Dr. Oji went pale. You must stop searching for her, he said. There are beings older than memory. Some say they feed on emotion, destruction. And the more you engage, the deeper her grip becomes. I don't believe in superstitions, Malik muttered. The old man looked him dead in the eyes. Then believe in patterns. As Malik left, the professor called out, She doesn't follow you, Malik. You called her. That night, Malik sat in his apartment, sweating, shaking. He whispered her name one last time, and this time, she answered. The air in the apartment turned ice cold. Malik stood in the hallway, frozen in place. She was there, Nia, leaning against the kitchen counter as if she'd lived there all along. Same navy dress, same bare feet, same eyes that felt like drowning. I told you not to look for me, she said softly. His voice cracked. What are you? Nia stepped forward, her presence somehow heavier than her body. She didn't walk, she glided. You called me, she said. The night Halima left, when you cried alone. You said my name. You meant it. I didn't know what I was saying. But your heart did. She smiled. Your pain did. Malik backed away. You ruined my life. Nia tilted her head. No, Malik, I exposed it. You were already cracked. I just showed you the fault lines. He wanted to run, scream, cry, but he couldn't move. Why me? He whispered. She paused. Because you were the easiest to break. Tears filled his eyes. I loved someone. I was building something real. She stepped closer. And yet, you still opened the door when I knocked. Silence. She brushed his cheek with fingers colder than ice. You always had a choice. Then she turned, walked toward the door, but before leaving she stopped and looked over her shoulder. One more thing, she whispered. Be careful what you ask the dark for. Sometimes it answers. The door slammed shut behind her without a sound. Malik collapsed to the floor, not from pain, but from knowing the truth. He let her in. Weeks passed. The apartment stayed cold. Even when the power was on, even when the windows were shut tight, there was a chill that clung to the walls like a warning. Halima never came back. His job, gone. His reputation, a shadow of what it once was. But Malik didn't try to fix anything. He moved differently now. Quiet, cautious. He avoided mirrors at night. He deleted his social media. He stopped answering unknown numbers. He wasn't afraid of Nia returning. He was afraid of who he had become since she came. One evening, he stood in front of the same mosque steps where he once sought peace. He didn't pray. He just stood there, hands trembling, mind loud with questions no one could answer. And then, behind him, a voice, software familiar. You called me again. He turned around fast, but no one was there. No wind, no footsteps, just an envelope on the ground. Inside, a single photo. Him, smiling, sitting in his empty apartment, alone. He hadn't taken it. But someone had. He dropped the envelope and backed away, heart-pounding, pulse in his ears. That night, Malik left Abuja, left the apartment, left the version of himself that let shadows in. They say he lives in a village now, no phones, no internet. Some people say he's rebuilding. Others say he still wakes up at night, calling her name. But if you ever feel like someone's watching you, someone you once trusted, someone you almost let in, be careful what you invite in. Because the real question is, have you already opened your door and just haven't realized it yet?